What if I told you that you could buy one of these, put it away in your dresser drawer for a rainy day, pull it out when you absolutely need it, when you're the scaredest you've ever been, and be 100% proficient with it? Would you believe me? So why would you think that you could take something like this, buy it, put it in a Faraday cage, be able to pull this thing out when you absolutely need it, and know how to run it, make it work for you, and save your ass? Guys, in the world of preparedness, training is everything. We all train for emergencies. We train for the things that we don't do every day because we need those skills to be as perfect as we can get them when we do need them. That is the reason we train, and that is what we're going to talk about today on K6UDA Radio. Let's do this. Guys, before we get started today, if you haven't hit the subscribe button, please hit the subscribe button, the bell notification right next to it. Please leave a comment at the bottom of the video, somewhere down in here. And you might notice, I don't know how well YouTube gets the word out, but I've created a new membership place here on YouTube. So you can become a member of my channel. And I'm trying to put together some stuff, some swag for you, some benefits, friends with benefits, you know, that kind of thing. Not those kind of benefits. Ugh, God, I can't even believe you thought of that. Cool things like you'd be able to see the videos a couple of days early. You'd be able to comment a couple of days early. Maybe some videos specifically for the membership. But anyway, on to the show. It's been a couple of weeks since you and I have talked. Very good reason. I wasn't here. I was actually out in the People's Republic of California, in case you didn't know, visiting my family and some friends. If you guys are listening from out there, hi. I'm safe. I'm back. I'm in America. Anyway, real interesting. I didn't realize how much worse it could get in California 3 years ago when I left California and moved here to Idaho. Man, are they Looney Tunes? They are cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs out there. All I could say is, please do not vote for Gavin Newsom for anything. Don't vote for him for dog catcher, much less president. He'll do to the country what he did to California. Mark my words. Today, we are talking about training. And really, here's what kind of got me. There was a post. When I was out in California, I was reading the forums, reading some prepping forums, some other things, and I ran across a post of a guy that had just gotten his ham license. Can't remember. I can't find the post, but I can't remember exactly if he had just upgraded to general or if he took his test and got his tech and his general all in one shot. Good on that guy for getting his ham license, and it was because of prepping. It wasn't because he had any great love of ham radio, and I get it. Totally get it. Here's what bothered me about his post. He was asking for everybody's advice. Do I buy the ICOM IC705, or do I buy the Zyju X6100? He's looking for a portable radio, looking for basically all mode, all band kind of a radio. Now, being a 705 owner and an enthusiast, I gave him my honest opinion of a 705 as a first and only HF radio. And I told him, honestly, I would be very cautious of buying a 705 or the Xiegu as a first radio, as your only radio for right now. Well, I told him, it's a great radio. It has two big limitations. And those big limitations are, number one, it's 5 watts. This radio literally is it's a marvel of modern masterpiece technology. It is small, portable, the same exact battery that's used in a handheld. It's small, it's light. It does an amazing thing. But as small and amazing as that radio is, that battery gives it a total output of 5 watts. The same power as its brother handheld. Now, I told him honestly that as a first radio, the fact that it's only 5 watts and the fact that it doesn't have an internal antenna tuner is a severe handicap for a brand new ham. And I told him, in order to make that 705 a complete survival radio under the worst conditions, when you can't optimize an antenna and you may be running off of a small little backpacker antenna like this. A more full-fledged antenna system like this that you can configure into a vertical or a wire antenna depending upon your needs and the conditions, or even something like this. This is fun. This is small, it's fun, it's a novelty antenna, but it actually does work. This is actually called the Slinktenna by Quirky QRP. Thank you, James, for this very, very cool little toy. Now, I told this guy in my reply, he's going to need something like this. This is the MAT 705. This is an external antenna tuner. This one is made specifically for the 705. It's battery operated, very, very simple. But I would say in a prepping or an emergency situation where things might not be optimal and you might only have an antenna that is less than optimal, an antenna tuner may be very important. And the antenna tuner, like I've always said, it doesn't make your antenna perfect. It just fools the radio into believing that your antenna is perfect. Now, the other thing that you're going to absolutely want to have in a real emergency situation is enough power to cut through the crap, to cut through the atmospheric noise, to cut through hundreds or thousands of other radio operators calling for help. Is enough power to get the job done. I'm using the Elecraft amp here, and as you could tell, this thing, you gotta know how to hook it up. If you're not using this thing on a consistent basis and practicing, you're not gonna know how to use it when you absolutely need to use it. So now, why are we even talking about this today? When I read this guy's original question to the group, and I gave him a response, and I told him these things, these concerns that I had for a beginning ham radio operator about the 705, about having that as your first radio. I didn't do it to try to scare him out of the 705. I wanted to actually help the guy out. I really did. I wanted him to understand that maybe as a first radio, he wanted something with 100 watts. He wanted something with a internal antenna tuner to make things easier. You know, I've contacted stations around the world, around the country, but I've got a lot of practice. I've literally used hundreds of different antenna configurations. The ones that I've showed you here, I've used the DX Commander. I've used lots and lots of antenna configurations. I know how to build antennas. I've built dozens of different types of antennas. I've tuned antennas to try to make them as perfect on a certain band as I absolutely can. And by no means am I an expert in ham radio, in antenna theory, antenna design, or construction. I would consider myself on a scale of 1 to 7. This is the scale that we used in police work to grade new officers. A 1 being a total miserable failure. A 7 being absolutely perfect, up at the sky. I would consider myself a 4. I am an average ham radio operator, but I do this almost every day. I am on the radio somehow, some way, almost every day. I voiced my concerns to this guy. His response to me was, I didn't get my ham radio license to chit-chat, to make contacts all over the country. I made it specifically. I got into this specifically for prepping. I got in this specifically for when shit hits the fan. I intend to put this radio away, and I will use it when I absolutely need to use it. I only need to contact my people 200 miles in whatever direction it was. I have no interest in experimenting with this or contacting people on a regular basis. At that point, I just stopped. I was going to say something to him. I was gonna come in with my training spiel like I'm doing here. And I kind of decided, you know what? I'm just going to let it go. This guy isn't listening. He's not going to train. He doesn't want to train. He's the guy who just bought a gun and put it in his desk drawer or put it in his nightstand for a rainy day. And he's setting himself up to be a miserable, miserable failure when he absolutely needs it. And I just wanted to make it painfully obvious to him, if he's watching this at all. I just want to make it painfully, painfully obvious that if you don't practice your physical skills, you won't have any physical skills when you need them. If you don't practice your firearm technique, it won't be there when you need it. If you don't practice on the radio, if you don't train, and the way we train on the radio, it isn't like range training where you're going out and it's purpose. Well, it can be, because I do train with people for a purpose-built kind of a thing, but I do that in addition to going out and playing on the radio, experimenting on the radio. That's what does it. I figure out on a day-to-day basis what works and what doesn't. Imagine this guy's surprise when he breaks this 705 out in an emergency when he really needs it and he can't figure it out to save his life. He's just bought himself a brick. Guys, that's all I've got. Again, hit the subscribe, the bell notification, all that good stuff. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Do you think that training with ham radio is as important as training for physical skill sets, for firearms, for food prep, and everything else? Or do you think I'm dumb? Do you think, hey, we'll just get it when we need it? You let me know in the comments, and we'll continue this this weekend on the Southern Idaho Preparedness Net, because this bothered me so much that I want to talk about it there, I'm going to talk about it here. All right, guys, I will see you on Saturday, and I will catch the rest of you on the next video. I'm Bob, K6UDA. I'm out of here, 7-3.